First things first, this video is going to have some really juicy spoilers from the Alien Earth TV show, so if you haven't watched that yet, this is your spoiler warning. Now, from the very first episode, the one creature that's been awarded the most screen time after the xenomorph has been the T. Oelis and the ticks, about whom we learned the most in the 5th episode, which was basically Alien Earth's way of asking us which is the worst way to die. It was also in the 5th episode that the show revealed just how the biology and reproduction of the ticks works and how blood plays a very crucial role in their life cycle. So here we are. In this video, we're going to explore the 10 most insane facts about these new parasitic creatures from the alien universe. But before we begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Those two small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos. With that out of the way, let's jump into it. The ticks can presumably communicate with the T. Oelis eye-midge creature. In the 5th episode of Alien Earth, which, by the way, was one hell of a love letter to Ridley Scott's 1979 original, these little critters, these blood-sucking ticks, show a great affinity towards water. In the episode, Karen Aldridge's Chibuzo, the science officer on the USCSS Maginot, was conducting one of her experiments on the ticks while drinking some water from a Weyland-Yutani bottle. She banged her still-open container on the table where the ticks were kept in a containment jar. We have no idea why she had to bang the thing, but anyways, that happens, and the next thing we know, one of the ticks gets curious and reaches for the lock of the jar. There's one thing we gotta point out here. While she was conducting this experiment, the T. Oelis, or the eye-midge, as Noah Hawley calls it in the FX podcasts on Alien Earth episodes, so yeah, the eye-midge was constantly looking at her, so much so that it was trying to distract her. In fact, in the same podcast, Noah Hawley said, and we quote, "The eye-midge could take advantage of seeing the ticks escape and then drawing attention to itself to allow them to do their thing." I would go so far as to say that the ticks worked in cahoots with the T. Oelis, maybe it even communicated with them to get them to do what it wanted, and something similar was proven closer to the end of the episode when the T. Oelis, while hijacking the body of the ship engineer Shmuel, actually summoned the xenomorph drone from Maginot because it was under threat from Morrow. You can hear the cries that Shmuel makes just before the Xeno comes in. Anyways, keeping this in mind, it would make sense for the ticks to work under the command of the eye-midge because, let's face it, the ticks aren't very smart creatures and they can't strategize, while on the other hand, the eye octopus is super intelligent, as confirmed several times by the series creator. And as far as the strategy we were talking about goes, our next point will throw more light on that. Unprecedented affinity towards water and other liquid that can facilitate breeding. So let's talk about the experiment that Chibuzo was conducting on the creatures. You see, she had kept them hungry for over 2 weeks, and the experiment was to see if they would devour a dead animal. She believed that they wouldn't, since they depend on blood for their oxygen intake, but it soon becomes clear to Chibuzo that she had much to learn about the ticks as one of them starts to consume the dead rat's insides. Now, here's the thing. If one of the ticks feeds on the dead rat, why not the other one? Well, we believe it was the eye-midge that guided them to do this. You see, that eye octopus knew that Chibuzo was super interested in seeing if they should consume the dead rat, so it made one of the ticks do exactly that while asking the other one to open the lid of the containment jar, which was also something that we think the ticks didn't know how to do. Once that happened, the tick that got itself free immediately goes to find the water in the vicinity, which it sensed earlier. By this point, the eye-midge distracted Chibuzo, so she forgot to pay attention to everything that was happening around her and only focused on what she wanted to see. That is, the tick feeding on the dead rat. The freed tick then climbed into the water bottle and deposited its larvae inside while no one was looking. Oh, and at this point, Chibuzo was going to secure the T. Oelis, which was another thing she failed to do properly. I mean, this woman's not a very good science officer, is she? The ticks do not lay eggs. I think of all the creatures, apart from the xenomorphs, the ticks are the first creatures that the show really sheds some real light upon, including their reproductive method. You see, once the mother tick, we're assuming she was female based on how things work on Earth, but yeah, once the mother tick gets to the water in the bottle, she immediately lays her larvae into it, much like a mosquito. But mosquitoes lay eggs, while these alien ticks lay larvae, which are capable of growing into their mature forms in a short span of time, much like a chest burster. If we look at the timeline, Malachite, Shmuel's apprentice, drinks the larvae water at the meeting called by Zoya Zaveri. The meeting ends almost as soon as he drinks the water, and we find him working on the ship's sabotage parts with Shmuel because that was an immediate priority. Then he starts throwing up blood while working with Shmuel, so the tick larvae didn't waste much time. He was soon taken to Medbay 1 where he was kept under observation, and here they cut Malachite open to see what was going on inside, and we see that those little tick babies grew to at least an inch in size. Needless to say, the more they fed, the faster they grew. Defense mechanism. One very interesting thing that we noted about the ticks is that they have a near foolproof defense mechanism. When Dr. Rahim tries to remove one of the smaller ticks from Malachite's esophagus, the creature resists, and resists a lot. But when Rahim overpowers the little critter, it simply releases a cloud of spores from its ass, which was so poisonous that both Rahim and Chibuzo, who was also inside the medbay, died in a matter of a few seconds. This behavior is very similar to the behavior of the facehuggers, who also sort of lay embryos inside a potential host, and if you try to remove the facehugger by force, it kills the host through its acidic blood, if not the person who tries to remove the creature as well. That, my friends, is some scary shit. So it's been all but proven that you can't really kill the ticks in close vicinity, because if you do, it's pretty much the end of the line. Now imagine, if these small ticks can do what they're doing, imagine what tricks Mommy Tick and Daddy Tick might be hiding in their alien tick sleeves. The ticks can produce webs. In the first episode, when a couple of guys from the Prodigy tactical team go inside the crashed Maginot in search of survivors, they find the alien zoo aboard the vessel. During this time, one of the ticks drops down on one of the men using a web, much like a spider would. After landing on his shoulder undetected, the tick then goes inside the clothes, but doesn't attack the soldiers yet, which tells us something else about these creatures. But before we get into that, we want to focus on the fact that these creatures are super stealthy and can travel undetected. Although they can't fly, thankfully, they're skilled enough to make their way from one place to another without drawing a lot of attention. The ticks wait before they attack. You see, in both instances that we see the ticks doing their thing, they ensured that their subject was incapacitated. In the case of the engineer's apprentice, they were inside his body, so they couldn't be removed externally by force. And we've seen what they do when someone tries to remove them by force. In the case of these armed men, Moro incapacitated them before leaving them as hosts for the bloody creatures. Once their hosts were secured, the ticks, like the scarabs from the mummy movies, drained the blood of the two soldiers, leaving them like husks. This shows that the ticks are aware of their size and their weakness and wouldn't take any unnecessary risks. They're the worst form of bloodsuckers ever. Ticks are very common in a few countries on Earth, but this guy from Alien Earth is the Darth Vader of ticks, if you will. These creatures drain your blood and leave you nearly dry on the inside. In fact, they're really deceptive, and that's exactly how they managed to draw the science officer's attention away from the water bottle, or maybe it was the Tia Celis at work there. Either way, the ticks aren't to be taken lightly. They leave a trail of blood. One thing to be noted here is that the ticks always leave a trail of blood while moving from one place to another, as long as their bellies or sacks are filled with blood, which means they're constantly leaking the blood they consume. It's possible they extract whatever the hell it is they want to extract from the blood of the poor, unfortunate host, and then keep on oozing out the used blood, kind of how we animals excrete. I mean, we animals don't naturally discharge blood, but other waste products after the food consumed was drained of the nutritional stuff. This could come in handy for Prodigy guys if one of the creatures ever got out of containment, and looking at how things work in the alien universe, it's honestly beyond doubt that these creatures, if kept alive, will definitely break out of containment. They use blood to reproduce. In an official podcast for FX Channel, the special effects supervisor for Alien Earth said this about the ticks. The idea is they go in and suck out your blood, and it fills up into this huge sack that they carry around, and they use that to breed other ticks. His statement makes it very clear that the ticks use the blood of other organisms to carry forward their line, which means that if you cut their blood supply, not only would they eventually die, they wouldn't even be able to reproduce, and their numbers would dwindle. They've got 4 legs. So the ticks have 4 legs. The front 2 branch out into 2 finger-like projections, while the other 2 are simply like any other insect legs. It's because of these legs that they're able to run so quickly, so the more legs, the merrier. Unfortunately, that's all we got for you guys today, but don't forget to subscribe for more Alien Earth content.